Okay, in this video, what we want to look at is eligible departments for Worktribe costing. So from a HCM perspective, there were a number of departments set up in the system. A subset of those were eligible for Worktribe costing. We run the custom BIP report and we've noticed 24 of these were not eligible for Worktribe costing. As a result of that, we have a subset of users who are being archived and not eligible for downstream ingestion into Worktribe. The solution to this was deemed to be run the HCM HDL loader, and as part of that Excel to click the tick for Worktribe eligible costs for a list of departments that we wanted to be costed. In our lower instances, in a development and a sit environment, Dev 3 and Dev 6, this has not been done and needs to be done. In this moment in time, the resource able to do this is too busy to do it, so it was manually updated. The list of departments in question, I'll just show you, are over here. Let me just bring them up. It's not that one. Yeah, they're over here. So in column A, this was the list of departments that required to be manually updated in Dev 3 and Dev 6. I'll just move over to Dev 3 and take the example of mathematics now, because in Dev 3 and Dev 6 we've manually updated them, and the process for the manual updation I'll just show you. So I'll take the example of mathematics and just copy the department for mathematics. Let's come back over. So if I go to my client groups, and in the top left we can see I'm in the Dev 3 environment, and if I go to workforce structures to navigate to view the departments from workforce structures, if I just go down to organizations, then within organizations click on manage departments, and from here I'll query on mathematics and it will bring back mathematics department. Fine. I can either click on the link or click on edit, either one. So if I click on edit, I'll just do update from today if I wanted to make any changes. I don't, I'm just viewing. Okay, so I'll scroll right down to the bottom and I can see here include for costs is yes. So where it wasn't before, this has been manually updated. So let me just cancel that. And I'm now no longer in edit mode, because there's a couple of ways to do it. One was, okay, I can click into edit, or two, just click straight on the link for mathematics. You're not in edit mode if you just wanted to view. So go down to the bottom, include for costs. That happens to be yes. If it was a null value, as in there's nothing there at all, that's equivalent to a no, or it could be include for costs and it could be saying no here where it says yes. So where there's null and there's a no, it means the same thing, don't include me for Worktribe costing. Anyway, this has manually been updated to yes. So knowing that our list of departments now has been updated for costing for Worktribe, let's now rerun the BIP report in Dev 3 and see if we have a reduced number of people in an archived state, because now we have more departments eligible for costing. So if I go back to the home page, and then from the home page scroll all the way over to the right, and then from the right we'll go to tools, and we want to reports and analytics. That's the way to go. I have, to save you going and doing this navigation all the time, you could, once you're in reports and analytics, then add it to your favorites, because in the star up here, I just do one click and then go to reports and analytics, just a faster way. So could go to reports and analytics as I've done now. And if I wanted to, I can click that star and then put add to favorites. And that's the faster way where you get the link where you'll just see it appear here, so you don't have to do all this navigation. And then I'll go to Browse Catalogue. Once I've got the report, I can save it in my favourites. This area is the favourites where it's already here. And let me just go the long way around in case you haven't seen this before and you want to know how to get to these reports. So go to Browse Catalogue. And then from Browse Catalogue in my shared folders, go to Custom. Let's open up Custom, and then we want to go to Integration. And from Integration, we want ICHR. Go at this level, don't go deeper and go to Data Model. Otherwise, you'll just look at a data model, not run a report. We want to go one step higher, the actual report. So be in IC_HR, be at that level. And we want the ICHR Worktribe report. So let's open this. We're commonly calling it the BIP report, the custom BIP report, if you hear that, but it's the ICHR Worktribe report, or the main or the large report that takes a list of people from Fusion that we want to cost into Worktribe, running the full HR integration. That's what this report does. There's one that does a subset of that, which is the forced user report for one-off people who aren't eligible that we want to force through. That's not this. So we want the large ones. That's the ICHR Worktribe report. So let's click open on this. Let it load. Takes a moment. So we'll just wait for a second. And then once that's loaded, we'll download it into a CSV file and we'll open it, that Excel CSV, and we'll then query. So, okay, it's loaded, quite big. You can see a long listing. Let's get it into an exported CSV format. So here we are in CSV format. This shouldn't take that long. Just let it load quickly, and then we'll open up the CSV file, which is downloaded. That's the one we want, ICHR Worktribe report at the top. We'll click that to open it up. It's open. Don't want to convert, just click don't convert when these come. And then at the top, just give it a distinct color to make your life a bit easier on viewing column headings, and then put a filter in. And what I'm interested in is this column, archive. So archive no is always good. It means don't archive it at this point. Let that person record, whoever you're talking about, whatever row you're talking about, let that go into Worktribe downstream. If there's an archive yes, then it will stop it. And it's that very yes that we want to investigate. So let's have a look at the yes values. So let me click off no and click OK. And that is a lot less than what we had before. So that's a really good sign that these departments that were, in fact, in the column next to it, were eligible for Worktribe. So we had a much longer listing before. This is a lot lower, a lot smaller. So we've got, how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So are these for department reasons or for other reasons? Now, I'm going to scroll over right, because there can be an integration or an interaction, better word, of many factors of why something is going to be archived. And we've got some flags over on the right-hand side. And yes, these are I knew it would be these, right? These are the suspects. So we've got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we've got 6 rows, which is pretty much all of the records and the reason why they're being archived. And it's because the role appointment include would have probably been switched to a no. So the role professional enabling staff has got on it an associated appointment, which has got its flag to no, which has led to the archiving to be yes. So that's the reason for these. For the top one, that one row, it is for another reason, and I need to look into that as to the reason for that. So the answer to the question, why were there so many? And I think there were 39 odds, and it was due to departments not being eligible for Worktribe costing. We've answered that question, and we also understand the remainder of within the Greens as to why the role appointment include also has allowed for the archive flag to be yes. And if we wanted to see that in more detail as to why, we could prove that and go into the Dev3 environment again and have a look at that common lookup. So if I go to initials, setup and maintenance, so I want to have a look at the reasons as to why that role was archiving those other 6 records. So if we go to manage common lookups and then go into manage common lookup and query on it. So we had some roles for, so this is the lookup for Worktribe roles, and if we open it up, it's about the assignment included, but let me just go back to the BIP report to understand it a bit more, to see which role are we talking about. And if we say where's the role? Right. Professional enabling staff in this case. Fine. Which we can see over here. So we're in query mode on the lookup, which will be easier, which means at the very top here, I can put in a query. I'll just paste in professional labeling staff just to reduce the list of rows that we have returned for this lookup. So now just professional labeling staff is what I queried on, that's what I get back. And we can see that there are 2. There's one here, and the assignment included is Y for IMPJF professional staff. Just going over, and this is a different one to that. So we want IMPJF OPS. So let's come back to our lookup, and we can see there's another line here. And yes, that is IMPJF OPS. In fact, let me just take it from the BIP report and do a double query. So on professional labeling staff, plus also the tag, let me reduce it just to our specific lookup value. And we can see IMP for number 3. And there's our culprit right there. Assignment included is N. So that's why we have these 5 here, and the role appointment included is no, which is here, which means don't include these people. Now if I change that to a yes and then rerun it, those values would go, and in fact it's worth testing to prove that. So I will click on a yes to here. I will save and close just to make sure that that's done. I'll come back into the lookup and I'll just query that again. So these are the Worktribe lookups, and I'm interested in the roles. So where we have roles, these are our roles, and we were professional enabling staff, and we were OPS. So do a full query on that. Oops. Okay, and I'm hoping it's kept it good. It's always good to check that you've got the right value, otherwise stream can't be sure why something's happened. Just remove doubt. So okay, so now let's go back and rerun the BIP report and then query the number of archive records, and I expect to see 1 now. The greens should go. So let's go back to reports. So I'll go back to favorites, and I've got the report here saved in my favorites. I could have gone a longer way around and done the navigation again. I just want to save a moment. I'm already 15 minutes into this video. Every second helps. Okay, so rerunning the report again, we can see that it's processing. And let's now export this report to CSV format. So this is after changing the appointment from a no to a yes. So we would like to see 6 less people being archived. So now let's open the Worktribe report. Don't convert. Give me a identifier for the top row that's a different color to what we had previously, just so I can distinguish between the reports. I'll just filter on that. So now, again, what were we interested in? We're interested in the archive column. Want to know who's being archived. So out of everybody, and what does everybody mean? 7,335 records, and we're in the Dev3 environment. How many are archived? So now let's take off select all. Let's click a yes. Let's click OK. One, just the one, which was this Amandeep buyer. So yeah, they've gone. So where we had, right, where we had over here, these 5, that was explained by the lookup, which we've just changed the role appointment to include rather than exclude, which is responsible for these 6 records. Before, we used to have a longer listing up to 39, and that was due to departments not being eligible for Worktribe, and that list we saw over here. These are all the yellow ones, which are now eligible for Worktribe in Dev3. So the 2 reasons for why we had employees not eligible for Worktribe have been removed. We've made them eligible for, we've made the departments eligible for Worktribe, so it's removed a majority of the archiving records. We looked at the flag for role appointment, and we changed that from a no to a yes. That removed the remainder ones. You could argue, should they have been archived or not archived? And there could be a business decision sitting behind that. I'm not explaining the business decision. I'm just explaining the functionality and the effect of archiving and not archiving. There may well have been a very good business case for those to be archived. So, don't just be trigger happy and just start clicking things on these lookups and saying, yeah, I've got them through. There might have been a legitimate business reason. We saw that there were 2 different types of rows, but they did represent different job functions. This is just something to think about. I'm not saying I was wrong. I'm just saying you always be cognizant of a business decision or what's driving the functionality of what you're trying to do. So anyway, we're left with this 1 row, which I'll investigate outside this video, but that helps to explain why we had 40 odd rows originally of people being archived. I think it was 39. 6 we could explain from the role appointment. 1 is this top row, so that's 7 from 39 then leaves 32, and 32 were explained by the departments not being eligible for Worktribe costing, which we made. That's why the list has been reduced. So in the future, we would need to communicate clearly to data migration or whoever is responsible for adding the departments into the system to make sure that they're fully aware of the full list of departments that are required eligibility for costing for Worktribe to have the relevant column in the HCM HDL loader to be ticked for eligible for Worktribe costs. If it comes to that stage or a precursor stage to that, to let them know the same thing when they're doing the data migration. So is the HCM HDL loader for remedial action, or should data migration know about it in the first instance and they're just not aware of it? And that's why we have some missing departments. Need to get to the bottom of that and to update whoever's relevant run book is in play to make sure that from a business projects research perspective, that all eligible departments are understood from a Fusion perspective, and that full listing of who should be eligible, which departments should be eligible for Worktribe costing is known ahead of time, and for that list to be updated or constantly updated, or somebody to have an eye on it from a business perspective, so that when we get to cut over or go live, we don't have an issue of why do we have archived records over here, and we're trying to understand why is that, and we look through the different permutations, and there are many. We just avoid that pain by knowing up front the right relevant departments that are eligible for Worktribe costing. That's kind of like the conclusion of this. Please let us know and have an understanding of which departments you want to be eligible for Worktribe costing in the first instance, to avoid archiving records, which means we can't then add people to projects going forward because by definition they would be archived. And in a go live environment, there's lots of working parts and lots of people working on various activities, and you don't have that moment of pause to come back and easily resolve these things. It's better to understand it up front. Okay, if you made it this far, well done, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.